All right, let's take a look at creating a nav bar. How could we create a nav bar? Now, the first thing that we always want to think about as we're working inside of Dreamweaver and as we're building a website is that really everything that we see that there is a grid underlying it that informs it. So what does that mean? Well, that means that as we build, we want to think about how many pixels high do I want this to be? For my nav bar, how many pixels high do I want it to be? How many pixels across do I want it to be? So I use div tags. I open up the insert window, come to div. Divs are the perfect things to use. Now, where do I want this div to be? Well, I want it to come after the header. So I'm going to say after tag and after main header. Now I have the question, is it a class? Is it an ID? Let's come to new CSS rule, and we want it to be an ID because an ID applies to only one HTML element on a page, and I'm only going to have one nav bar on each page. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make sure that it's on my, going to be built in my CSS sheet, test site CSS. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, let's see. Selectors. Oh, let me give it a name. Okay, I'm going to need to give it a name. I'm going to name it Navbar. I'm going to hit OK. Now, what do I want it to look like? Well, I'm going to give it a background color just so I can see it. Again, we're just building a grid, okay? I'm going to come to box and I'm going to give it a width. I'm going to give it a width of, let's give it a width of 1000 pixels. I'm going to give it a height of 60 pixels. Now, I'm going to give it a little bit of padding. I'll keep the padding same for all. I'll give it 15 pixels for that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the right and the left at auto. And I'll give it 10 pixels from the top, 10 pixels from the bottom. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK. And here I have my nav bar. I have it selected. Now let's see, as we're looking at it, we might want to change it a little bit. So I can see as I look that here is my margin. I can hover and see. I can see here I have my padding, and this is where the content's going to be. So if I come on in, well, actually, first of all, I'm going to type what I'm going to have. I'm making a 3-page website. I'm going to say page 1, and I'm going to come on in, page 2, page 3. Wonderful. Page 3. Just 3 pages. Now, let's say that I wanted to center that. I'm going to come to the beginning, and actually all you need to do is there's a really fabulous window, the properties window. And as I look at that properties window, I can click center, and now it is centered. If I want to align left, I can. If I want to align right, I can do that as well. So I'm centering it just for now, just for fun. I can see also as I come on into the properties panel, I could choose HTML or CSS. Now, the centering definitely was the CSS. And as I come to test site CSS, I'm going to find most likely that that aligned center will ending up inside of that rule. All right, so this is all that I have so far. So always interesting to come and see what does our CSS look like. Okay, so again, it begins with a hashtag because it's an ID. I can see the color, the pixels, the height, and also that I centered it. Okay, so let's take a look at some other ways we could go about changing this. I can change it, by the code, by going in right into the CSS sheet and working that way, or else I can come to Window and I can choose up CSS Designer. And with this selected, let's see here. Let's click on to Navbar, and we can add a rule to it if we'd like to. We can click, we can change the background color if we'd like to. Okay, and you can even do more, so you can add different properties. Now, what's great about this too is it's going to give you some other options as you move on through. Again, kind of cool. You can see these different things. I can come in, I could change the main header if I'd like to. I could change the height a little bit. I'm coming in a little bit. I can change the width. Okay, and it's pretty cool that we can see them inside of here. There we can see the padding, and we can see the same for our for our other rules that we will build. We can even come in and change the type, all that good stuff. Okay. So there we have it. Now let's take a look about how would we go about making these active links? How would we go about making these active links? Well, step one, let's create the pages. Our first page that I've created is index.html. Let's create 3 more pages. Let's come to File, New, and let's create an HTML page. And we're going to make it HTML5. Now, this is really important. Let's attach the CSS. That CSS that we've created, let's attach the CSS. So I am going to browse and I am going to attach the CSS that I created. I'm going to hit OK. Beautiful. I'm going to hit OK. Wonderful. I am going to give this a name. I'm going to name it page 2. Create. I'm going to create page 3 too. I'm going to come to File, New, and I'm going to do HTML5. I can see it already is following what I did last time. It's attaching it to test site CS3, and I'm going to do page 3. I'm going to hit Create. Now I have page 1, page 2, page 3. Now let me save them as that they didn't come out that way. So here we have this one. I'm going to come File, Save As, page 2, and I want to make sure that it's going into test site. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to come here, File, Save As, page 3. Inside of there, I'm going to hit save, and there we have it. Wonderful. Okay, let's make this nav bar work. So I'm going to come to page 1. I'm going to pull this on down a little bit here, and I am going to open up my properties window. So I'm going to come to Window, and I'm going to open back up my properties window, and I'm going to make a rule. So now I'm going to go to the HTML, and I have this one all done, and I want to make a link. I can see that I have my link right here. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could say, okay, page 1 is going to always link to index, open. I can come to page 2. I can highlight this, and I can click here, and I could say this will go to page 2, open. I can come to page 3. I can click this folder, and I can say page 3, open. Wonderful. So there we have this working nav bar. Now we can see that the default is this blue color. We're not going to worry about that right now. But let's go about and create the other 2 pages. How would I go about creating these pages? I've created the links, but I don't have them yet. Well, since we already inserted the CSS, we can easily insert the header and the nav bar. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to come on in. We're going to open up our div tag. We're going to say insert div tag. Now, once you have the insert div window, come to ID and start with main header, hit OK. There's your main header. Excellent. Let's insert another div tag. Let's say after tag, after main header, find the ID, nav bar, hit OK. Wonderful. File, save all. Now, if yours ends up not working right away, don't worry. What I would recommend to do is to quit and reopen the program. Sometimes the information doesn't all travel, so what I'll do is save all of them and reopen. So the first time I tried to do this, when I would come to insert div tag, I wasn't getting the options for the IDs I already created. So insert main header, hit OK, and then I'm going to insert another div, insert div, and I'm going to say after tag, after main header, and I'm going to insert a nav bar. I'm going to hit OK. So right now I have these 2. Now, it was on the first page that I went in and I put this code in. What I can also do is I can come in and I can copy the code and paste it in. So I have this selected, but what I really want to do is I want to take a look at this inside of Code View and make sure that I really get these links. So what I'm going to do is make sure that this goes in between these 2 things, just as I'm seeing it inside of line 11. So I'm going to say edit, copy, and then I'm going to go to page 2, and pretty easy actually. I can just click this and hit paste, and that should really work. I'm going to come to page 3, paste, File, Save All. And let's see if these work. Let's take a look at it, see what happens as we come on in. Let's come on in. Let's go to Live View. Let's see, we have page 1. We can click page 2. All right, now to see it, how it would look in the web, we can come to File and we can go to Real-Time Preview and we can view it in the browser. So I have Safari and Google Chrome installed on this computer. I'm going to hit Safari and I'm going to see what it looks like. So this is it. So I can hit page 1, I can hit page 2, page 3. So, and I can see that it's changing the names of it, page 2, page 1, untitled document, page 2, page 3. Wonderful. Okay, let me look at it one more time. Let's see what it looks like in Google Chrome. Now, why would we want to look at it in different browsers? Well, what happens often is a website will look different depending upon the browser. So I can come on in, page 1, page 2, page 3. There we have it. Thanks so much for listening, building a navbar and using CSS to create multiple pages of a website.